Hey, my name is Michael Shaeffer. I live in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm a Arkansas artist. Yeah, so as far as my background in visual art, I was fortunate enough to oddly enough, move to Hot Springs, Arkansas in my freshman year of high school from New York. And the reason why I say fortunate is because Hot Springs High School at the time, I don't know what's up to now, but at the time they had an amazing art department, spearheaded by Linda Lyon and Carol Small. And I was really fortunate to have them as people that really pushed me into the arts. They really got me really excited about the arts. And art has always been something I've been interested in since I was a kid, but they just really helped me find a voice. And then from there, I wound up going to School of Visual Arts in New York City. So I moved back to New York and I lived there for a while I was going to school there. Lived in Brooklyn for a minute, and I was doing shows up there and doing shows on Long Island and in the city, and just building a better idea of what I wanted to talk about and what my hand looked like. I went to school for illustration originally. That changed probably like into my second year because I kind of thought like, is this really what I want to do? I felt like I was going to this really incredible school, but I was only tapping into one little part of it. So I changed my major to fine arts, which just gave me a bigger breadth of opportunity and knowledge and just kind of being able to play. After that, I wound up moving back to Hot Springs for a little while and then moved to Little Rock about 9 years ago now. And just really put my focus into fine arts and painting and drawing. And, you know, like I said, I was able to link up with M2, which has been great. I had a really great show at Thea. I was really fortunate to have a show there. If not one of the last shows in their big space before they kind of consolidated the gallery space. And that was a really great experience. Yeah, so my background is illustration. I wanted to push it more towards painting. That's kind of where I was at. I really like working really large. And with painting, I could get as big as I want. So I like to work really large on large paper and large canvases. Mainly doing portrait work, kind of dealing with the idea of identity and what it means for identity. What does identity look like? Is it something that we wear, or is it something that we are? Is it a combination of the two? Where do we find this identity? You know, and just the idea of like thinking about when you're a teenager looking for identity to when you're a middle-aged guy trying to find your identity and what that still means. And are you still searching? And does it even matter? You know, and just that kind of stuff. In my work, I deal with a lot of like throwbacks to other times, like a lot of nostalgia, and a lot of maybe times and places that I wasn't even around for, the things that I've always just been really interested in or like fascinated by or curious by. So I dig through it through books and music, and then that leads me to my art. So like recently I've been on this big like club kids kick, like 90s club kid kick. And that has just been a really interesting way. I think it's a really fascinating scene. And in some ways it makes no sense, and in some ways it makes so much sense. And just the idea of challenging what it means to be who you are and how do you find that. And I think that's a big part of my work is about. It's just like, I think it's just me trying to figure out who I am, even after all this time. So I do it through my paintings, you know? Big show that kind of, I guess you could say, put me on the map here in Central Arkansas was, I had a show at Thea that was about the club scene here in Little Rock. Like, I moved to Little Rock and I knew like the rock scene and the punk scene. And I thought it was great and I loved it. But I was like, I wanted something else out of it. You know, I loved sitting on Whitewater and watching bands, but I wanted something else. I just wanted some kind of like visual something. And I wandered upon Club Sway downtown, and it was like, oh, okay. And it was just like, it reminded me a lot of that New York club scene, like the Limelight kind of era of New York. And I was fascinated by it, and I was like, here's this amazing scene of like these club kids making these amazing outfits and this interesting looks and ideas and creativity and challenging things to just really go out and have a night of fun. And I thought that was really great that they would put they work these jobs, like these mediocre jobs in the world, just to pay for these nights of just like being able to just be who they are. And I just became like obsessed with that and inspired by that. And after talking to some of the kids there, we just started like hanging out, and I was like, I really want to do this series. And they're like, yeah, come hang out. So I started documenting them, and it turned into 42 pieces, like 42 by 48 canvases that I just did this whole show called The Thrill of It All. And it was just really about this underground scene in Little Rock that was so amazing and so beautiful. And like, it was a shame if you didn't know about it, you would never know about it. You know, I wonder like, how much did I miss of this? And that show, I think, kind of allowed me to really explore with my like hand and my look of my drawings and paintings, and also like take it to the next level where I can just get big because I had this space. I initially showed it in Bentonville. The Turks, Dylan and Christy Turk, gave me an opportunity to show there, and that was really great. And then after that, it came down here for North Little Rock, and that was really cool. And it was just a great turnout, and I met so many great people, and that kind of got me full throttle into wanting to be a painter again. Like, I think for a while I just kind of got lost in my job, lost in what I was doing. I was a visual merchandiser for Dillard's, and although like creative wise it was rewarding, there was still a lot of like other factors of it that I wasn't really getting what I needed out of it. And that show kind of put me into the drive into like, okay, I want to do this. This is what I do. This is what I want to do. Now what do I want to talk about? Now what do I want to explore? And that kind of pushed me into like looking for things that have always influenced me. I'm trying to figure out why, you know, from like old punk to the new club scene, you know. March of last year, kind of everything, you know, flipped upside down, as we all know. And at the time, I was a co-owner of a record store in town. Did it for a little bit longer, and then in June, I moved on. My partner took over the business, and I became a stay-at-home dad. Like, my son was with us, and he wasn't going to school anymore, and he just, you know, I wanted to stay home with him, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to put all my attention towards painting. That makes sense and work. And it did make sense, and it was really great. It did, in a sense, make me rethink what it was that I was doing, in a sense, like, were there gonna be any more gallery shows? Like, why am I making these paintings? Like, am I doing it for me, which is great, which is why I should be doing it anyway, but also now, this is my one source of income, and I need to make sure, because we had no idea back then, and I don't know if we still have any idea what's in the future, but especially when things started hitting and we were watching all these things happen around the country and coming in and around us, and seeming like the people around us didn't really want to take it seriously, but then friends in New York and all these places were telling us all these horrible stories, and I was like, I can't just make paintings tonight. No one cares about a 4-foot by 8-foot portrait right now. You know, like, what am I gonna do? You know, and I think it just kind of, my creative like survival mode kicked in, and I just started thinking, like, what are some things? You know, I really focused towards more like tangible work, in a sense of like wearables, meaning like clothes. I got into a skateboard kick where I was printing decks. I thought that was really just kind of a neat thing. I also thought, like, well, even if the world implodes, maybe you still want to go out and skate, you know? And I was just having to rethink my whole brand, you know, which, you know, fortunately, a while back, I called myself, I still call myself House of Shaeffer, which kind of like opens it up for me to do a lot of different things. I'm not just like pigeonholed in like Michael Shaeffer paintings or Michael Shaeffer design. It's like, I'm House of Shaeffer. So anything I do, it falls on that name. And I could, if I wanted to start making toy trains, it'd still be House of Shaeffer Presents Train Series. You know, so I kind of thought, like, well, I can go anywhere. What do I do? And I really just focused more towards like the wearables and like more like design. I had the absolute pleasure working with Dave Fry at Fry Guitars, and I designed a guitar with him that he built the guitar from scratch, which was really great to watch. He started with a block of wood, and he built this beautiful electric guitar, and I did all the artwork on it. And because his warehouse, it's just him. He hand builds every guitar. His warehouse is massive. We were able to go there and work together and still be like 15 feet apart. So there was just no like fear of like working close with someone. And so like collaborative work like that has been really interesting for me. Like right now I'm working with a handful of artists in town that like we're just like trading off pieces to see where it goes, just kind of keeping our head moving and kind of keeping us out of trouble and keeping us working, you know. I think that's really important. Strangely enough, quarantining and locking ourselves away have kind of brought us together, like a lot of artists in the community, by just because we don't know what else to do. And like, we know we make things and we miss sharing those things with other people that are making things and hanging out with those people and talking about those things and like sharing ideas and just like, you know, everything from chatting at a gallery opening about like, what are you working on now? And just having these really great conversations to like grabbing a beer with a buddy and sitting at a bar and just talking about like some ideas. You know, we're not doing that now. We can't do that. I guess some of us are, but we shouldn't be doing that. And by thinking outside that box, it's kind of brought us together, but now we're working more together. I think I'm seeing more local artists like going like, hey, we can't kick it or hang out, but like, what if I throw you like 6 pieces and you throw me 6 pieces or 4 pieces or whatever it is, things you're gonna throw away. I don't even care. And let me play with that and see what I can do with that. So in a weird way, by separating all of us, it's really brought a bunch of us together in a way that I don't think we ever thought to work, if that makes sense. I wanna thank everyone that had a part in this for inviting me. This is fantastic. And you're looking to find me, you can find me at Michael Shaeffer. That's on Instagram right now. Also M2 Gallery, that's they're at m2lr.com. There's a list of amazing artists they represent. I am fortunate to be one of them. But yeah, hit me up. I just recently, oddly enough, closed my, I had a shop online of shirts and prints and stuff. I still have all the shirts and prints. So if you go to my Instagram page or Facebook page and you see anything you like, please feel free to reach out to me. I love to chat and talk, and we can figure something out.